we need to care about what people think because it's going to teach us you can't just walk outside, and just wave your balls and your dick everywhere and not wear any pants. Or, you have to learn how to speak to people and have normal conversations with people and abide by laws, but also social laws, social mores. Hey guys, Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. Should you care about what people think about you? Yes and no. I think that our culture is very, and there's a grand irony to it. Look at all the pictures that people give. I don't give a fuck you. It's everywhere to not give a fuck about what people think. Photos and media and songs. I am who I am and you're never gonna bring me down. Whatever, that's not a song. It's me trying to represent what I think a lot of songs are now, where everyone is I do me and I don't give a fuck what people say, even though I might be a dick, I might be cringe, I might be weird, I might be being cringe right now and you don't like me because of it. And I think that we're doing it so much that, when people say, like, if you doth protest too much kind of thing, like if you try so hard to say you don't care about something, you actually end up demonstrating that you do care a lot about it. Because if we even have to ask ourselves, and there was Jordan Peterson talked about this, he says, even the fact that we're asking whether or not you should care about what people think means it's such a pivotal issue. If you have to ask yourself fundamentally whether or not you should even care about it, it means that instinctively, we really care a lot. And so we're questioning to what degree we need to. So the reason I say yes and no of whether or not you should care what people think about you is in part because we already do. And I think that there's some truth to that instinct, but also because people's opinions of you can guide you towards improvements. Your enemies can point out what your flaws are. Now, they will be overly hateful of it and judgmental of you as an entire being because of a single or few flaws, when you, of course, are much vaster than just that. And they're gonna blow those up and make those your personality, especially with the internet and with cancel culture. We're making people very one-dimensional, but they're obviously more than that. At the same time, despite us caring instinctively, so, we kind of have to care because we do, whether or not we want to, and we can because it can point out our flaws that we can improve upon and learn from. Oh, and one more thing, and it can teach us social norms. You have to abide by social norms to some degree. If you were to never abide by social norms, you would be doing whatever you want, legal or illegal, without any cause or any concern as to the repercussions. And, you would never take a shower, Of course, you're going to say, well, I would do these things for myself. But, you put on clothes, I think, for a large part because you've been conditioned to like putting on clothes. I'm sure unless it was fucking winter, you would be more than happy to walk around everywhere shirtless, right? So to some degree, we need to care about what people think because it's going to teach us you can't just walk outside, and just wave your balls and your dick everywhere and not wear any pants. Or, you have to learn how to speak to people and have normal conversations with people and abide by laws, but also social laws, social mores, social values of whatever culture or country or city you're in. So it's going to teach you what is normal and what's not. And then, of course, you can choose what to abide by and what not to. But that being said, there is the other side of the answer, which is no, you should not care about what people think. And this is where you need to have that, what the fuck is this, guns? I don't give a fuck, fuck everybody, I'm so cool. That instinct to rebel and that desire to rebel can be very healthy as well. Because if you caring what everyone says and feels determines too much of your life, then it becomes an obsession. And you start to become obsessed with everyone's opinion of you. And then the opposite, of course, is total anarchy and uncivilized behavior. But to prevent that obsession of what everyone thinks, which is what a lot of people do. Most celebrities, most high profile people probably are very concerned with what people think. I know for personal reasons, when I started to get more well-known in my university, I definitely really started to care what people think, because I liked my position of being well-known. And I would do this thing where I would be so obviously anti-establishment of, like, you know, what I think is correct or what I think is wrong, and I would be very outspoken about my beliefs, whether or not people liked it or not. But at the same time, despite thinking I was such a rebel and such an asshole, which I was, I also really deeply cared about what people thought, because I wanted people to, this is really an interesting one, I wanted people to know that I didn't care about what they thought. And I knew that in my own heart. Maybe people didn't see that, but I was caring whether or not people knew or felt that I didn't care what they think, right? And so I became obsessed with what people thought, even in the negative or the positive, right? So there's more depth to this. But if you truly do not care about what people think, it will keep you from falling into that trap where you become basically only your mask, because we all wear a mask to some degree. And so you do need to maintain your truth and your principles, despite if people like it or not. Now, some people are going to inevitably dislike you no matter what, but I was always fascinated by why. So you should care about what people think, so that all the reasons I explained, but you shouldn't care too much so you don't get obsessed with it and you maintain your independence and your own beliefs. And also, it seems pretty intuitive actually. If you don't care about what people think, people will sometimes like you more because of that. And they'll see that you're not as reactive to their opinions and their feelings as other people are. And it'll come off as confidence. And people will be intrigued by you. You know, maybe you're a little bit more of a loner and you don't need to always have company, and you're not always eager to spend time with someone and need their affection and validation. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, where is the balance? In what instances should you care and what instances should you not? Well, you have the obvious answers of, okay, if your mental health starts to get affected by caring about what people think, you probably need to reevaluate how much you care about that. But then, even in that, there's some possible counter arguments. Like, for instance, if you want to get really good with girls, you're going to have to really care about what they think, because you're trying to get with them. So you're going to some degree, have to care about if they like you or not, and what they like about you. Yes, not giving a fuck is going to be attractive, but it's not just I don't give a fuck what you say. If you go into that, to every talk with a girl with that mentality, I mean, a few of them will be really attracted to your non-give a fuck, but you're gonna have some really bad interactions, and you're not gonna be really seducing girls. You're just gonna get girls who are just super into you and do all the work for you. So aside from the obvious answers of don't destroy your mental health, and also don't be, throw away society entirely unless you plan to be a monk and go live by yourself, you need a functional answer, a practical answer, an answer that can actually give you some sort of guidance. So what I suggest that you do is that you see people's opinion of you, even reputation, you could think of it that way, as a functional thing. It's not determining your self-worth, meaning if someone likes you or dislikes you, it doesn't elevate you or denigrate you. Because you have to be careful, because if you are elevated by affection and compliments, you are by nature going to be destroyed by insults. It's very difficult to only listen to compliments and not listen to backlash. We would think that that would be the ideal situation, but it's actually not. If you are attached to one opposite of a spectrum, you're going to be attached to the other opposite. It's kind of impossible not to be. Unless you're just like an extreme narcissist and or a sociopath and you have some ability to just block shit out. So I want you to actually become non-attached to both the good and the bad opinions. What I want you to do is see them very, almost like, this is what people think of me. And it's this sphere, and it has some shades of who I am, and it shares some nature, but they can't see in the box and in the heart, right? They can't see the full complexity of what's going on. I could try my best, but there would be no way for them to see, you know, the full depth of it and the full spectrum of it, just like I couldn't see theirs. So here's like kind of what most people see of me. Here's like what my close friends see, and then here's what my acquaintances see, and this is what the general public probably sees. You should be accounting for how people see you, and you should be kind of like, almost like check marking things. Okay, interesting. Become very attached to your personality and see it as you have your core principles in the center, and those are really unshaken, unless of course you encounter a reason to change them. But they're not going to be changed only because people like you or not like you. But you could be influenced by their arguments, of course, and experiences with them. But you have your core foundational principles and beliefs. Then on the outside, you have your habits. And then on the outside, you have the way you do things, the personality behind it, right? That's what most people see, just the flair that you do things with, the tonalities, the body language. These I want you to see as very malleable. You can change your disposition, you can change your tonalities, you can change your facial expressions, you can change your body languages. And you do want to adapt for the most part to what people like, especially women. If you're trying to become a seducer, those things you can change. Of course, if you change them too much, then you become a people pleaser, and that will be in and of itself actually non-people pleasing, right? But you can change that, and you should be aware of how people are reacting to that. Then closer to the center is your habits. Those you can give or take, as long as they're not being, the foundation of those isn't like a principled belief that you don't want to lose. But you can, to a certain extent, choose not to show them. You don't have to change who you are, but you can just not show them based on who you're around. Well, simply because, you know, when you talk to your boss or you talk to your mom or you're gonna have different behaviors. I'm sure you probably think that you're a super consistent person, and that's the goal, is to actually be super consistent all the time. But you can change the politenesses and the decorums and etiquettes of your behavior, just the small details, but still keep yourself super consistent in the inner shell and the medium shell. But you can choose to show certain things and not show certain things, just to keep like civility and concord and have good relationships with people, because it's not worth hurting relationships or showing your opinion for what reason? Just to show your opinion? Because giving your opinion just to show them your opinion, to prove it to them, is actually caring about what they think. So there's a lot of depth to this that you probably don't see. A lot of your behaviors that you think are not caring about people think are actually, ironically, you caring about what people think. You just are seeing it from the opposite. You're trying so hard for them not to see, or for them to see you don't care. And I realized that when I was in university. I tried so hard to be contrarian, I ended up being like a people pleaser, but I wanted people to hate me almost. It was kind of an interesting thing. And then at the center, though, you have your core beliefs and your principles. Those you do not change for others. But what you can do is you can learn how to communicate with people in a way that you can talk about these beliefs and center core principles in different ways with different language. And that's something that I learned how to do with, especially with YouTube, but with, my life in general. I remember I had a really good talk. It was a literature professor I had in university, and it was towards the end of college, and I didn't give a fuck anymore, I just didn't care. And I kind of liked everyone to know that. I tried very hard for people to recognize that I didn't give a fuck. And I would get in arguments with people because I wanted them to hear my opinion. And one time I talked to her in her office, and she made a really good point. She's like, Hector, and I've been told this 1,000 times, but this conversation specifically was actually kind of helpful. In part because I really wanted to fuck her. I don't know why. There was something about her I found extremely sexy. She wasn't like hot. She was cute, pretty, but I don't know, she had something about her. I really wanted to fuck her. So I cared about her opinion more. I've always really actually cared about the opinions of women a lot, which has been a positive and a negative in some ways. Anyways, I digress. She told me that you have good arguments and you have great things to say, but you just need to work on the way that you fucking package it. You need to work on the way that you express it, because the way that you express it makes people not listen. She used her own words, but she basically said that. And I remember when she said it, it clicked. I didn't accept it, but it clicked deep down inside of me. I think I just didn't. It was one of those things where I know this is right, but I'm gonna choose not to listen to it because fuck you. Because I'm Hector. But over the years, I always remember that conversation. It was just such a brief conversation. There was really not much of note, from her besides that, but that was a very important moment in my life. And I remember it very often. So I learned that this outer shell of your personality, caring about what people think, you can change that a lot without changing your core principles. And it can make you a more charismatic person, funny person, seductive person. And it can lead to a better life, better relationships, more dates, more sex, more girls, more friends, without betraying, of course, that center principle. And I think that's what a lot of people, we kind of just talked about pickup. As a lot of people misunderstand about some of my videos that I've made because maybe I didn't wrap it in the right language. But if you see your personality from that detached perspective and you see people's opinions and judgments without rejecting them or accepting them as somehow touching whatever is at the center of your being, if there is one, then you can play with them and use them to your advantage without being touched by them and without relying on them or being destroyed by them. And if you can reach that state where you actually do care about what people think, because you have to spend time with people and have relationships with them, but you don't care in a way that touches you and affects you, either positively or negatively, you can just see it as, is this helpful or is it not helpful? Is this skillful or is this not skillful? Your ability to improve as a friend, brother, son, boyfriend, husband, father, lover, fucker, businessman, artist, YouTuber, you're gonna fly because you're not going to be held by your self-identity. You're gonna understand that what people see and who you are two very different entities. And that this detached personality that most people see can be played with and improved if you aren't in it. So sit with that and think about it and give it a spin and let me know what you think. Leave a comment, leave your opinions because I care about what you think, kind of. Okay. Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Instagram because I want your validation and your friendship. And girls to send me compliments to make me feel good. Yeah, okay.